The girl was taking extra classes at New Oriental when her father rushed over and took her away, before leaving warned other children that it was going to rain and they should hurry home. Despite the girl's resistance, father drove the family away at lightning speed. The girl looked back out the window and saw that the originally clear sky was now covered with dark clouds. A rainstorm was about to fall. The father also increased the speed of the car and told the girl to fasten the seatbelt for her brother, but the little boy refused. The father could not help but turn around and scold the rebellious son. The family almost had a car accident because of this. Although they escaped, they were stopped by a large truck. Seeing that the heavy rain was about to fall, the man ignored the abuse of passersby and hurriedly fled the scene with his family. At this time, the sky was covered with dark clouds and a drop of rain fell from the sky. Fortunately, they arrived at the bunker in time. If they were a step later, they might all die. After entering, the father explained the truth to the family that it turned out that the father was a scientist. He told the family that a poisonous rain was about to fall outside, and if they were caught in it, they would be poisoned and die. In addition, the rain contained highly contagious viruses. Anyone who was touched by the rain would be infected with the disease. The father was the hope that could save everything. The reserve materials in the bunker were enough for the family to survive for 10 years. After asking his daughter to take good care of her brother, the father put on protective clothing and returned to the ground. Because he had more important things to do, the family, who were still in a state of panic, opened the news on social media and realized that the outside world had become the end of the world at this moment. For now, they could only hide in this bunker and wait for the disaster to pass before going out. Another way. Half an hour later, there was a knock on the door outside the bunker. The siblings thought it was their father coming back and were ready to open the door, but their mother disagreed. If it was their father, he could open the door himself. At this time, the knocks on the door became more and more intense. The siblings took advantage of their mother's absence to pay attention and sneak up and then press the button to open the door. As the door slowly opens, a twitching man appears in front of them that he reaches out and grabs the boy's clothes. Just when the boy is about to be pulled out of the floor, the mother arrives in time and rushes up to knock the man down. The siblings are extremely terrified, but the mother is also soaked by the rain. Soon her whole body begins to twitch. That it is obvious that she is infected with the virus. Seeing that the mother has fallen to the ground, the two helpless people have to retreat to the basement and press the button to close the door. At this time, the mother screams continuously. The siblings sit on the ground and blame themselves. As time goes by, there is still no news from the father, and the mobile phone signal has also been this bunker became their living place and also their prison. A few days later, his sister accidentally discovered on the tablet that there was another bunker like theirs. He tried to communicate with the sister, tried to contact the D-Bow, and maybe she could find her father. After trying for a long time, she got nothing. The hope that had just been ignited was shattered again. The sister did not give up. She thought that there must be other equipment in the D-Bow to contact the outside world. Soon they found a mysterious toolbox. When they opened it, they found a set of wireless communication equipment inside. The two people who were ecstatic really contacted the outside world. But the signal in the D-Bow was so poor that they could not hear what the other party was saying. At this time, the sister had a good idea. She asked her brother to hold the antenna and walk towards the gate of the D-Bow. In the end, the two sides successfully made contact. The other party told the girl that the outside world was now in chaos. The toxins contained in the rain caused a large area of human infection. In order to control the epidemic, the government's several centralized treatment centers were arranged. The nearest one was not far from them. My sister wanted to learn more from them, but suddenly the bunker was plunged into darkness. It turned out that the outside world, the power supply was cut off. Fortunately, there was a backup generator in the bunker. But as the lights came on again, the sound of the radio became increasingly unclear. The two lost contact with the outside world again. 5 years later, the little boy gradually grew up. The material reserves that could have guaranteed the family's life for 10 years were exhausted. The younger brother could no longer bear this kind of life, and if they continued to stay here, they would only starve to death. Although the sister tried her best to comfort him, the younger brother smashed the glass and vented his inner dissatisfaction at his sister. He just wanted to leave here. In desperation, the sister could only put on protective clothing, muster up the courage to open the floor door, and after searching for a while, he did not find a human being or any food. He could only return to the bunker and tell his brother about the outside. Everything now. The only way to survive is to go to the next bunker. That I heard you can leave here. The younger brother was very happy. Soon after they fell asleep, the ventilation vents in the bunker broke down and issued a fierce alarm. The older sister also fell into a coma due to lack of oxygen. The younger brother could only drag his sister out of the bunker, but as soon as they came out, they ran into a group of fully armed people. The other party did not mean to kill them, but just drove them back to the bunker and locked them up in a small military house. It turned out that this group of people were also survivors. This poisonous rain killed almost all humans, and the environment was also destroyed. The food outside had long been contaminated. The purpose of their coming here was to find clean food, but after searching the storage room for a long time, it was all empty. The only remaining bag of killing horse was eaten by Curly. Did you find anything? No. At this time, the younger brother, who was locked in the room, began to complain again that he thought that these people were attracted by his sister and began to turn his face to him. The elder sister felt very aggrieved, but as Voldemort, he could not allow himself to lose his temper with his younger brother. Seeing that the group of people who had gained nothing were about to leave, he had no intention of letting the brother and sister out, and no matter how he begged, the leader ignored him. The elder sister suddenly had an idea and wrote other treasures and food on the window. Then she showed the leader the map of other treasures. When the man approached the window to see the specific location, the elder sister took the tablet and slowly backed away. Then she smashed the tablet and pointed at her head. They threatened each other that if the man wanted to find food, he would let them out. Under the pressure of the need for food, the leader let the two out. After the elder sister, they started to move towards the next debow under the leadership of the leader. Through conversation, they learned that the man in charge was named Gangban Rikawa. At this moment, they were about to cross a forest. Suddenly, a car appeared in front of them. Rikawa quickly gave orders. Everyone hide. They lay down in the bushes and took out a piece of tin foil to cover everyone. From the teammates, they learned that these fully armed people came from an organization called the Eliminators. They would use thermal imaging drones to search for infected survivors and then hunt them down accurately. Fortunately, the team was well prepared and the Eliminators did not find them. But at this time, another survivor suddenly jumped out from the side. The Eliminator also found her and chased after her. Richuan and others were ready to evacuate, but the sister raised an objection. She couldn't just stand by and watch someone die. Even Richuan ignored her. But surprisingly, another girl in the team, Xiaomei, also stood on the side of the sister. The reason was there were only two people on the other side. After saying that, they took their sister and chased after them. Richuan and others had no choice but to follow closely. The woman who was running for her life obviously overestimated her ability when she crossed the ditch. She jumped with her own strength, but she still fell into the ditch. She was about to be hunted. Fortunately, her teammates appeared in time and killed these cleaners. Seeing her teammates struggling desperately in the mud, they did not intend to go up to save her because there was an animal corpse not far from them, which meant that it was a rare and deadly infectious virus. The woman finally climbed up. Richuan raised his gun and killed the woman without saying a word. This is the cruel doomsday. As long as you survive, it is the most important thing. The brother and sister were instantly shocked. After listening to Richuan's explanation, the sister had nothing to say, and the brother became more and more interested in Xiaomei next to him, that he only looked up and chatted with her, that he accidentally kicked, he stepped directly into the puddle. The situation became tense instantly. Richuan raised the Desert Eagle in his hand and was about to kill him. His sister Jinxiang directly blocked the muzzle of the gun. In the end, it was Xiaomei who put on gloves and took off her brother's shoes. She found that the water was not at the same time. Curly, who was exploring the way ahead, also brought back good news that he had found the bunker. The brother and sister escaped and came to the bunker. After a round of inspection, the elder sister used her palm print to open the bunker door. Although the elder sister was also wondering why she had the authority, she was too lazy to explain to the man who almost killed her brother. The supplies stored in the debow did not disappoint their expectations. Looking at the supplies piled up in the warehouse, everyone was very excited. The elder sister found the controller here and activated all the devices in the debow. Just when she was about to leave the room, she accidentally found a mobile phone that was charging. That a closer look showed that the screensaver was actually the brother and sister's. He found out that it was his father's phone, that he quickly told his brother the news. According to the video conversation in the phone, he knew that his father might be in Sweden now, that he was developing an antidote for the virus. The two made a bold decision. They wanted to find their father, so they set out on a journey to find their father. But if they wanted to go to Sweden, they had to go through many cities at this time. All the cities were occupied by hungry people. The road ahead was full of dangers, and their lives were in danger at any time. The brother and sister walked and explored. At this time, the younger brother walked into a bus that had been abandoned for many years, that he imitated the state of people when the car overturned. Suddenly, they were horrified to find that there was something outside the window. They were so scared that they dared not make any sound. Fortunately, they were safe that it turned out to be other members of the team. They thought that the brother and sister could lead everyone out of the crisis, so they followed them. They decided to help the brother and sister find their father. At this time, the leader, Gangban Yuchuan, must have fainted in the toilet, that in just a few days his teammate who risked his life abandoned him. Then in just a few days his teammate who risked his life abandoned him. Then, several young people with the same interests began to explore the city with great enthusiasm. However, danger had quietly approached. They were discovered by a group of hungry people. At this time, they walked into a store, took out their own stored food, and started eating. But they didn't know that danger was approaching them step by step. They were taking a short break at this moment when they were discovered by a group of hungry people. The hungry people rushed over, and the small team quickly fled. These people went crazy and ate everything. Faced with years of hunger, people have lost their minds, and even cannibalism has appeared. The sister was dispersed in a panic. Suddenly, the weather changed drastically. When hiding from the rain, she met a man with a child. The child was malnourished because of long-term hunger. The kind sister shared her food with them. The man left happily, but when he walked out, he was met by a group of hungry people. The hungry people saw the food in their hands and rushed over. Sister was helpless to do anything. As more and more hungry people snatched the food, Sister realized that they had to leave here quickly. But a man targeted them. After returning, the elder sister quickly asked everyone to pack up and leave. Facing the prank of her brother, the elder sister was very angry. She didn't have time to argue with her brother. Just when they were about to evacuate, it was too late. That a man with a knife came in. That he grabbed the younger brother and asked him to hand over the food immediately. Seeing that everyone was hesitant, the man stabbed him directly. The critical moment, the Captain Gangban Richuan appeared in time. The man fled in panic, but the injured younger brother couldn't help but scream. In order to avoid attracting more hungry people, they had to evacuate immediately. Everyone pushed him and ran all the way. Fortunately, the elder sister knew that there was a bunker nearby, but when they arrived, they found that the house had been robbed. But now the situation was critical, so they had to treat the brother's wound first. But they didn't find any medicine in the bunker, so they had to treat it simply. But the brother's wound had become inflamed, and if he didn't get timely treatment of that could endanger his life. Fortunately, the elder sister learned from the two fathers and sons that there was a doctor in the next town. But judging from the younger brother's current condition, he would definitely not be able to make a long journey. In order to save time, they decided to get a car from the cleaner. The elder sister acted as bait and walked over alone. Sure enough, he was soon discovered by the drone. He ran quickly to an abandoned warehouse. The drone was staring at him in the sky. The elder sister slowly raised her hands above her head. The cleaner approached him step by step, but at this moment, the drone was suddenly shot down. That a friend appeared and knocked all the cleaners unconscious. Richuan searched for a map from the cleaner, but he wanted to learn the information on the map from the cleaner. But they still couldn't get them to talk. Then Curly saw the tattoos on the cleaner's arms and suddenly became excited and strongly demanded that these cleaners be killed. The reinforcements will arrive soon. They have to leave here quickly. After a few gunshots, Richuan walked out in style. They successfully got the transportation. The elder sister thought that the murderer Richuan was too cold-blooded, so she ridiculed him all the way. Seeing this, everyone fell silent. That it turned out that the reason why Curly was so excited was because he saw his parents being shot by these people. Their tattoos were exactly the same, but the elder sister didn't know the truth behind it. She only believed what she saw with her own eyes. The car passed through tunnels and drove on the endless viaduct. Soon they were lucky to find a doctor. The younger brother was saved. The doctor treated his wounds. During the chat, the doctor learned the identity of the brother and sister's father. After that, his face darkened. Then he pretended to be calm and told them that his brother still needed an anti-inflammatory injection. He arranged for the patrol team to wait here. Then he took the siblings to a nearby shelter, and there is actually a debow here. The doctor skillfully put his hand on the sensing point. He actually has the authority to open the debow. This scene surprised the brother and sister, but the doctor explained to them that he was also an employee of Apollo. Then the problem came. The father of the brother and sister is a senior scientist of the company. That IT stands to reason that the employees should know him. But the doctor kept saying that he didn't know him. IT seems that there is a big secret here. The doctor tied the brother's hands and explained to the sister that he did this just to prevent the brother from moving around. As soon as the voice fell, he suddenly attacked the sister, directly grabbing her with his hands and locking her throat. That a set of Chinese, the ancient boxing method, easily subdued the sister. But on the other side, the other teammates were still anxiously waiting for the siblings. They didn't know that the two had fallen into danger. But at this time, the sound of a car came from outside the window. Richuan went forward to check. That he found that the cleaners had caught up with him. The curly-haired tattooed one also came over. When he saw the tattooed cleaner, he suddenly became excited. But he asked why Richuan didn't send him thousands of miles away. Richuan just told him that he would explain it to him later. Curly got angry and took down the gun on the wall and rushed downstairs. This time, the cleaners were also approaching the house step by step. Curly quietly approached the cleaner and pulled the trigger at his head, successfully taking the first blood. The gunshot also attracted other cleaners. Facing so many enemies, Richuan didn't dare to act rashly. The cleaner immediately controlled Curly. Richuan sighed and was stunned that he didn't know how to rescue Curly. Hat took the gun from Hikawa and woke him up from his coma. Otherwise, he would have escaped. Fortunately, they ran fast enough. Otherwise, they would have been caught alive by the liquidators. The brother and sister in the bunker were being treated by the doctor, but they didn't know why the doctor wanted to kill them. When sending the two animals to heaven, the doctor told them the truth. That it turned out that the poisonous rain that destroyed the world was the product of their father's company. That it turned out that the woman was also a member of that scientific experiment. She had persuaded the father of the two siblings, but she refused to listen and insisted on provoking nature, causing the doctor's husband and children to leave her in this disaster. Now she is ready to let their father experience the feeling of losing a loved one. She took out a syringe and prepared to inject the younger brother. The woman was about to inject the boy with fresh, happy water. Fortunately, her teammates appeared in time and a sprayer solved her problem. The poor doctor was too talkative and ultimately failed to save her child. The brother and sister were successfully rescued, but when the sister left, she secretly put the syringe containing the pathogen into her bag in a panic. Then they fled deep into the forest. They unexpectedly found a mysterious castle with lights on inside. Just as they were about to go forward to check the situation, a person suddenly appeared. Behind them, they were not sure whether the other person was infected with the virus. They were fully alert. Then the person told them that this was a paradise, like shelter, where all survivors could be properly taken care of. Then the old man said that if they wanted to go in, they had to hand over their weapons. At this time, there were lightning and thunder in the sky, and a heavy rain was about to come. There was no choice but to hand over the weapon. They sent the letter and walked into the castle, but the room was locked as soon as they entered. They found that there were indeed many kind-looking people here. They warmly invited everyone to stay and rest at this time. It was late outside and it was raining. It was pouring rain, so Richuan and the others could only temporarily agree to stay here. Unexpectedly, this night was very peaceful. The next morning, the ant and the manor, they were invited to visit the farm. They were surprised to find that there were not only birds singing and flowers blooming, but also various rare fruits and vegetables. Seeing this, everyone no longer had to relax their vigilance. Then they saw a clean bathroom, and the ant demonstrated to them the clean water source that was not contaminated by the virus. Until then, they completely relaxed. It seems that this is really a rare utopia in the doomsday environment. But just when they were immersed in the joy of surviving a desperate situation, the Captain Richuan always felt that it was very strange here. So he quietly came to the kitchen alone, but found a horrible abnormality, that he found residual blood in the drainage pipe. When he opened the water tank, he was completely shocked. There was actually an upper body hidden in it. Incomplete corpses. No wonder the people in the castle look well, nourished and have rosy and shiny faces. It turns out that this is a castle that eats people. But the other members of the survival team, they knew nothing about this, but were full of anticipation for the upcoming grand dinner. Because they hadn't eaten meat for 6 years since the poisonous rain, as the plates were opened, a spoonful of particularly tempting meat was served in everyone's bowls. They couldn't wait to taste it, with satisfied smiles on their faces. But then the bearded old man asked them to start grabbing the patrol team members, who were puzzled by this. The bearded old man explained, "What is this?" Only then did they realize that what they had just eaten was human flesh. Hot brother immediately began to vomit, but the others in the castle comforted them, saying that they would be fine once they got used to it. Sister immediately wanted to escape, but was held down by the bearded old man, and as long as they had eaten the meat, they would become a member of this big family. And no one was allowed to leave before the next devotee was chosen. At this moment, Captain Richuan came over. He wanted to capture the leader first, but unfortunately the people in the castle had already taken away his desert eagle. For palms could not defeat 2 complete ones, and the grabbing and pulling in the restaurant continued in a weird atmosphere. Sister trembled and opened her own fist. Fortunately, there was nothing inside, but the Brace's sister there was no such good luck. Inside was a flower bud, which was the sign of becoming the next devotee. The Brace's girl couldn't help but shed tears. Then 2 people from the castle grabbed her and prepared to send her to receive bento at the critical moment. The aunt stood up. She replaced the Brace's girl with her own Brace's girl because the 2 of them got along very well during this period. She saw the shadow of her daughter, who had died many years ago, in the Brace's girl. In this way, the aunt died generously in her place. That it seems that there is true love in the world. And the bearded man also agreed to leave because he found the next devotee. Except for the patrol team, everyone else in the castle still sat silently. These people have long been accustomed to such a life. The team fled this cannibalistic castle overnight. On the next morning, they found a resting place. After a short rest, Richuan and the Hat brothers sat by the sparkling lake. They couldn't imagine that in such the only remaining humans in this beautiful environment have turned into familiar beasts. But before they could fully appreciate it, a voice came from the communicator seized from the cleaners. They could only continue. Hurry, because they have run out of food and have to go to the next place to find food. Because of his brother's injury, she asked to stay here and wait for them to come back. Xiaomei also chose to stay to take care of him, but he didn't expect that this short separation from the team would become a farewell forever. On the other side, after several hours of crossing mountains and ridges, Richuan and others arrived at the next bunker. They entered it and found traces of people living here. Judging from the items left at the scene, it should be a couple of women. Several people found some food, but when they were about to leave, the man in the hat found a tablet computer with hundreds of video archives. Everyone took it and found that they were all videos shot in some laboratories that IT clearly showed a man receiving the virus on a chair. The scientist picked up the radio to report to headquarters, and the person he was talking to turned out to be the sibling's father. Just when the 2 thought they had successfully found when the man was tested for antibodies, he suddenly began to twitch. After just a few seconds, he died of the poison. But the brother and sister's father did not mean to stop the experiment, but he arranged the next test subject to be the 8-year-old girl who had lost her father. The sister's worldview collapsed. She could not imagine that her father, who said he wanted to save the world, had been doing live experiments. The man in the hat could not help but curse him as a beast, but the sister was still defending her sick father in life and death. Seeing that the 2 were arguing more and more fiercely, the captain, Hikari, hurriedly stopped them. Now they can only rush back to meet up with their brother and then find a way to find the headquarters of Apollo. Matt, why do they do this? Matt, I don't know why you do this. Listen to me. This is not about you. Just now my brother and Xiaomei were jumping around in the simple house. It started to rain outside. The 2 young people, who were so infatuated with each other, couldn't help but kiss each other when they walked deeper. But they didn't notice that the wooden boards on the roof began to leak water. Then a drop of rain fell on Xiaomei's face. He was very scared. He knew that this was not the rain in Wang Wei's school. If you stay away from it, it can take people's lives. The brother next to him hurriedly came up to comfort him, in order to show his loyalty to his girlfriend. He kissed Xiaomei desperately. They didn't ask for the same life, but asked for the same death. The 2 lay quietly on the ground, lit candles to create an atmosphere, and waited for death. But a few hours later, my brother, he woke up safely. He quickly drove away the wild dogs around him and wanted to wake Xiaomei up, but when he turned over, he found that he was already dead. His brother hugged him and was heartbroken. On the other side, the man in the hat in the D-bow was drinking and sighing about everything that had happened in the past few years. When it rained, the elder sister grabbed him in time and wanted him to go back to the place. But the man in the hat, who had drunk too much pansy wine, pushed him into the rain outside. The elder sister never thought that the other party wanted to kill him. The man in the hat called Richuan to make things worse and asked Richuan to get rid of the elder sister. Richuan, who came, was also shocked by the scene and could not speak. Now he could only watch his elder sister exposed in the rain, in order to avoid infecting himself, he had to shoot him. However, the 2 of them had already developed feelings for each other after spending so much time together. When they were in a dilemma, the Brace's girl used her body to block her elder sister. She could not watch her teammates killing each other while retreating step by step. Finally, they entered the rain. Captain Richuan was in a very complicated mood, but he couldn't pull the trigger of his men. For now, he could only lock them up in the laboratory in the bunker, that if they really showed symptoms, he would make plans. But he waited for a long time. The 2 still had no signs of illness. They speculated that the epidemic 6 years later no longer had deadly germs. Tio verified this. He was ready to use himself as a guinea pig and drank half a bottle of ergotu to give himself courage. Then he strode into the rain. The cold raindrops sprinkled on his face, but he did not feel any discomfort. Only then did they finally confirm that the rain was completely non-toxic. They ran in the rain excitedly and shouted that the epidemic was finally over and a beautiful new world was about to come. Later, Richuan learned about the Hat Man and kicked him out of the team. The Hat Man returned to his original residence depressed, and saw his brother holding Xiaomei's body that he thought Xiaomei was infected, and the little brother was so scared that he backed away again and again. He was afraid of being infected by the two people, so he ran away without paying any attention to his brother's heart-wrenching cry. The painful brother carried Xiaomei's body and walked hard in the woods that he wanted to find his companions. The man in the hat ran to a mountain road. Just as he was about to get up, he was covered with a hood that he carried Xiaomei's body all the way and found her sister, but her sister and Richuan didn't dare to get close to them. Then they came to the bunker. The strange thing was that Xiaomei was killed by the poisonous rain, but her brother was fine. Richuan was afraid that he would infect others, that he believed that Xiaomei was dead, and was very angry about his teammates' indifference. On the other side, the hatted man who ran away was caught by the Eliminator. After being tortured, he revealed the location of his teammates. The completely disappointed brother decided to find a place to end his life, but he took the walkie-talkie and left the bunker that Apollo's people had already started looking for him. At this time, the brother's voice sounded on the walkie-talkie. The hatted man was still curious why his brother was still alive, that shouldn't he have died like Xiaomei? This was heard by others. They thought that the brother might be the person with antibodies they were looking for. Soon the Eliminator found him and prepared to take him back to the headquarters for research. At this time, Xiaomei also found the location of her brother through the drone. They finally succeeded in subduing a cleaner who came to capture them and used him as a hostage to exchange for their brother. When the two sides were in intense negotiations, the frustrated brother snatched the pathogen syringe from the brace's girl and stabbed himself in the neck. Everyone was frightened and at a loss. The cleaner quickly stepped forward to check the situation. Everyone thought he was dead, but unexpectedly, he suddenly opened his eyes again. Everyone couldn't believe it. This made the cleaner more convinced that he had virus antibodies, that in order to find out the truth, he took them all back to the headquarters. Just before leaving, the cleaner kissed him on the forehead to thank him for saving mankind. After everyone left, the man dropped his weapon and fell to the ground. He was actually infected with the virus and soon died in a daze. The people in the car still knew nothing about this. After a long journey, they fought HMPV virus. After a lot of quarantine and disinfection, several people finally entered this huge. The brother and sister also met their father, who had lost contact for 6 years. After these antibodies have spread to the brain and even the bone marrow, that if they want to develop an antidote, their son must sacrifice himself. During this period, he went back to visit the brother and sister. He put a seal on Debao to show that no one was there and locked the door to prevent Apollo from finding his son. He has been looking for him for the past 6 years, can replace their son's candidate. So there is the video that the sister saw, in order to save her son's life, and other people's lives are not life. But it's a pity that no progress has been made. Who knows, the male doctor had already secretly hated Northeast China. The father was shocked and hurriedly asked his son what happened, but the son hesitated and could not explain clearly that he could only take out another experimental stick and let his son open his mouth to cooperate with the collection. After the collection was completed, he took a look under the microscope and took a deep breath. That it turned out that the virus had mutated. His son had become a super pathogen. The father hurried out of the ward and reported the situation to the company. Boss, there was no possibility of developing a vaccine at the moment. That it was even possible that everyone at the headquarters would be doomed. The boss also expressed regret for this. But as a scientist, he clearly told his father that in order to prevent the crisis, he had to sacrifice his relatives for the greater good. All of this was overheard by his sister, who was hiding at the door. He was going to take his brother away despite his father's dissuasion, but he explained the situation unexpectedly. They were blocked by a figure just as they ran to the exit. The father in front of them intercepted them with a gun and pointed the gun at his son. It's to put justice above family. Richuan stood in front and determined that his father-in-law would not shoot. But you don't know what I can do in the next second. Richuan fell to the ground. The daughter was completely shocked. She couldn't understand why everyone took the opportunity to help the injured captain. Richuan hurriedly fled. In the desperate cry of the father, they drove away from the base, and finally met the purgers who were blocking the exit at the high wall. The sister got out of the car and prepared to argue, but the purger told them a shocking fact. That it turned out that the nutrition they ate after entering the base supplements, which are given to them by the milling of the virus from them. Even if they were stuck in the quagmire again, the friendship under the doomsday environment had already surpassed seeing them change their minds. The leader of the Eliminators finally breathed a sigh of relief. As long as the savior brother was still alive, he would develop a vaccine to save the world one day. Unfortunately, he didn't know that his brother could no longer provide them with antibodies. Although the siblings escaped from the research base, that this end here. If you want second part, please comment down. I will definitely make it, and at last, thank you for watching. Take care.